Hello there. I'm in Ayrshire, which is a part of Scotland that's very much Robert Burns country. Today we're going to walk from here, which is Kirkoswald, and head towards Culzean Country Park and Culzean Castle, and then pick up the Ayrshire Coastal Path heading north towards Dunure. Part of this walk I've done before and part of it I haven't, so I'm very much looking forward to this.
Kirkoswald's a rather pretty place, boasting a number of thatched properties like Suitor's Inn and Suitor Johnny's house. Like much of Ayrshire, it has strong connections with Robert Burns, Scotland's national poet, who stayed in the village in the summer of 1775 while studying under schoolmaster Hugh Roger. In later years, Burns returned to the village to visit friends, like John Davidson, otherwise known as Suitor Johnny, and Douglas Graham, both of whom he used as characters in his epic work, Tam O'Shanter. In the old kirk graveyard, you'll find the graves of all these characters, as well as the grandparents and great-grandparents of Burns himself.
Good view of Ayrshire Craig from here. At least I think it's Ayrshire Craig. If it's not, I'll stick the right name in the bottom of the screen. The footpath I came up there was largely overgrown and it felt sort of non-existent. In fact, that's it in there, I think. And of course I am my own worst enemy because I'm using an ordnance survey map that's a couple of decades out of date. You know, and for all I know, that this footpath that's on this map might not exist anymore. I'm happy to follow the edges of fields, but it looks as if the edge of the fields has been well used, so I suspect while that may have been the footpath once and it's now overgrown, folk are now using the edge of the fields. But if you do such a thing, never go into the field, always stick to the edge. You don't want to interfere with crops and stuff like that. Well, I'm now on the Ayrshire Coastal Path, which is going that way through the Culzean estate in the direction of the castle there. When I found my way through the impassable footpath that I was talking about earlier, there was a couple of just very short stretches on roads. And I mean, the fact that I'm working with a map that's a couple of decades out of date is just not good. But I could see the track that I was thinking I could go on, and sometimes when you look at a map and you're actually there on the ground, it's very different. And there was a farm there, and you know, it didn't look like a way through, and I should probably have gone a slightly different way. If you look at your map, you'll see that there are different ways. But the farmer appeared and pointed me in the right direction. So in the end, I ended up going the way that I had intended. There was about a mile on a straight track that took me under the old railway line, under a lovely tall brick arch, through a caravan park there, and this is us here now. And there's a little Rotary Club thing there, which I suspect may be an indicator of the Ayrshire Coastal Path. I've never been on this bit before, so you know, I'm looking forward to it. So here we are at Ayrshire Castle. I'm kidding, it's further on. I should say at this point that there's a part of me thinking that I'm pronouncing Ayrshire wrong. Sure as fate somebody will come up to me at some point and say, no, it's Ayrshire Castle. But in the absence of any advice from members of the public, let's stick with Ayrshire for now.
Okay to go in front.
On you go. The approach to Ayrshire Castle over this bridge has to be one of the most beautiful approaches to any castle in Scotland. It's just absolutely stunning. I think the castle was completed in 1777 by Robert Adam, but like many of these so-called castles, or well, it looks more like a stately home. In fact, there is an old Scottish tower lurking somewhere within, and you would probably be able to spot that inside the house or the castle, because it would be the doorway that you would go through with really thick walls. And once you were inside, it would probably feel a little bit colder. But my God, that is a beautiful castle.
And Germany, it was just a very unsettled.
Yeah, Austria more than sometimes.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Austria, it was weird.
It was very
Weird.
Oh, sorry about that. It was very
It's nice to know a little bit. We all become very lazy because everywhere in the world, most people speak a little bit English.
They were even in Scotland, true. Yeah. And they mentioned only a few years after World War II.
Now in Wales, we learn to speak in school English and Welsh. Whilst in Scotland and England, normally
It's quite hard to imagine a better place to have lunch. I popped into the castle there just to check, you know, somewhere at the back of my mind, as I perhaps said earlier on, I was thinking I had the pronunciation all wrong, and although it's spelt Culzean, the young woman in the castle confirmed that I'd got it wrong. I'm pronouncing it wrong all this time. It is Culzean. A silent Z. Who'd have thought that such a thing as a silent Z would ever exist? Oh, goodness. Just left Culzean Castle there. Just a small stretch of the Ayrshire Coastal Path. It's actually on the sand of the right beside the water, and there's a lot of jellyfish in the water. It's not a place you would want to go swimming in. I don't know what sort of jellyfish there are, but there's a lot of them. I'll show you.
To avoid what looked like an incoming tide at the far end of Culzean Bay, or Culzean Bay, I opted to leave the path and head uphill towards the A719 road. There was no pavement, and while avoiding cars I chanced upon the electric brae, which I found rather unremarkable. Indeed, for much of that extra 3 miles I felt a little like the grand old Duke of York, in that I was never entirely sure if I was going up or down, but the views were stunning.
Well, that's me in Dunure. Had to take a small detour there up onto the road at Electric Brae just to avoid what I thought was an incoming tide. I wasn't sure, and always best to err on the side of caution. Before I left the shore to go up onto the higher road, I found this. I mean, I always find shores fascinating at the best of times, full of all kind of bits and pieces like dead jellyfish, bits of crabs and such like. And you know, in the past, even as a wee boy, I was occasionally taking stones that I found either back to school or elsewhere. I remember once at school I lugged a massive stone back to the school at dinner time because I thought it had a fossil on it, but it hadn't. And even a couple of years ago I found a part of what I thought was a stone axe head, and I took it along to the archaeology department at Glasgow University, but it wasn't a stone axe head, it was just a stone. And well, I've always been a bit of a dreamer, you know. And as I say, on the shore I found this. I mean, look, I don't know if you can see that. I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find anything more like a stone axe head than that. But I suspect the stone's probably too soft, and once again it'll just be a stone that's been perhaps weathered by the tide or whatever. But on this occasion I'm not going to ask anybody, I'm just going to keep it, and I'm always going to think of it as a stone axe head. And every now and then I'll take it off its shelf and I'll look at it and I'll dream. But anyway, that's us finished today's walk, and it was just a little donder in Ayrshire, and a little part of the Ayrshire Coastal Path. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I very much look forward to coming back to Ayrshire. After all, I am a Burns.